Right. Just to give you all a brief intro, what we did was like we were planning on strategy perspective, going through three areas: strategic position, strategic option, and strategic inaction. So we covered almost everything on the strategic position. We have one more area to go off with. So we did the environment, we did the purpose part, and we did the capability. Today, we will start off with a culture. That's what we are going to do today. And from there, we will get back to our strategy, the option part and the evaluation part with some details on your case as well. Right. So when you see culture, because I'm a bit interested in this particular area, the case also talks about culture, and how that culture would have that impact. In fact, we'll be discussing a little bit more on the strategy perspective, what they have talked about, taking the model into consideration of the strategy structure and performance model. So I will touch that on the last area. So how this culture could impact the strategy, and what are the ways that we are seeing different things in the case as well. So let's check on those areas as well. So if you think on strategy, how cultures could influence on strategy. We know in our case, PIA, where it has come from two entrepreneurs, starting off, way back more than 60 years. But the family influence is still prevailing. You could see it very clearly. Yeah. So we will discuss about their weaknesses and strengths. Then we will see what we need to consider. So that culture would have that impact on the strategy, and you could see that has come with their values, and also it's passed down to each and every SBUs with regard to formulation of the strategy. So the culture would have an impact on development of the strategy. Then once you develop the strategy, you need to implement it. Once you implement, then you will see the corporate performance. Yeah, you will see the how organizations are performing. You have to implement the strategy to go off it. Now, this is where I see the positiveness about PIA, because PIA plans and executes the strategy. They're talking about how they execute the strategy, because a lot of organizations, where they fail is they have a fantastic strategic plan, but they do not execute it. Yeah, they do not implement it. Yeah, so then without implementation, there is no performance that you can expect. You can have a blueprint, but then that blueprint will remain as a blueprint inside the office. That's it. Yeah, so you need to give a credit to PIA in that particular perspective. Not all the strategies would be result in good organizational performance. See, what happens is, if the organization performance is unsatisfactory, we intend to go and attack our cultural perspective, our thinking perspective. Okay, we go back to our first point where it started off with, but it should not be the case. Okay, it should be first look at the implementation, whether you have implemented whatever the strategy, what you have worked on, whether it is working. See whether, now say, if I have to give you an example, let's say the sales representatives or sales guys of the PIA or PDVC or whatever, let's say that they have to visit their agents at least every week. Yeah, so that they will know whether there is enough sales moving on, whether there are people buying it, or whether there is any shortages, whether they need more goods to be stored, all those live what is happening around. So let's say you have planned to make that visit twice. twice a week, not once, twice a week. I'm just giving you a hypothetical figure, okay? So if your strategy was to push your sales through regular visits, so that means you're increasing your number of visits to your agents. Yeah, you don't want the other competitors to come and give their products in, right? So you want you to be in the agent shelf more. So you're increasing your presence more. So you're pushing your sales guys to go. So if the performance is not satisfactory, first you have to see whether that is implemented. Whether that strategy that you chose to to make people, make your sales guys to visit the organization, whether that is implemented. If it is not, tighten that gap first. Yeah, you tighten it first. That's what you should do, right? So then see whether it is corporate performance have improved. No, still not satisfactory. Still you're not happy with the corporate performance. That means something has gone wrong in that particular per se. So that means your increasing visits is not going to help you in developing your sales. Then take the next step. The next step is now you have to reconstruct or develop a new strategy to be implemented. Now, you have been thinking that, let's say you want to increase your sales, so you need to increase your product. You need to push your product in. So that means you'd have given a trade promotion or a trade discount. Yeah, and that's why you are implementing through your sales guys to visit them twice a week. That's not working now. Okay, now you think, okay, let me push it through the primary sales. Let me push it through the, let the market pull the product. I was trying to push it. Now let me pull it. Yeah. What do you do for pulling? You would create a awareness among the consumers and you would give them a promotion. Yeah, you would give them a promotion. Because earlier your plan was to push it through your shelves, push it through your agents, but now it is not working. So you're going to the market now. You're going to tell your, the consumers, okay, look, this is our product. This is what we are doing. Now, this is where I see lack of, advertising, lack of promotions in PIA. Okay. So keeping that, we will come to that area. So now you change your strategy because your first strategy didn't work. Is that working? Let's say it is not still working. Okay, it is still not working. Then that's as a last resort, now you have to challenge your paradigm. Now you have to challenge your culture. Now you have to challenge your cultural perspective. Yeah, because now you need to adapt. Now let's say now you could see we have been working on high quality. Okay, we have been looking at, there are enough evidence. We were looking at the customer requirements. Yeah, whatever the the implementation, what they want. It very clearly says you're looking at the customer thinking. The evaluations what they would make. So your products have been based on that. Probably now there are different that the customers are looking. They are not looking at your motors to be a motor itself. Probably they are looking at a multiple benefits on your water motors. Yeah. So they want that to be linked up with so many. So maybe they are looking at not only the motors, where they are looking at the people who are providing motors with other facilities also. Say, for example, the motor not only to pump the water in your house, but also to water your plants. Yeah, or water your whatever the areas that you're looking at. Yeah. So you've been thinking about the quality perspective. Probably now they're looking at more service perspective also. Yeah, earlier it was the product concern. Now it is service concern also. So you need to change that. So you're thinking of, let me give the customer what they want in the quality of the product. Now you have to think what they want in the service of the product also. Now that's what that your paradigm need to be shifted. Then implement, then you should be able to win in your place. So this is quite important and quite relevant for your area as well, because you see consecutively they are talking about how how they are working on as the their opinion on that. The customers, they are very much knowing about the quality of the product. Okay, so they are talking about their sales being backed by years of reputed existence and powerful corporate image in the country. And they are also of the opinion, it really says here, of the items they purchase, the customers of the group's product are implicitly aware of the benefit in terms of the purchase. So they know what it is. Yeah. So you need to keep this, you can keep this model for your supporting. If you when they implement or when they want to change, when they ask anything for you to be the control elements, because all the cases, everything is about controlling aspect of it. Yeah. So then probably this might be helpful for you. Something interesting that we need to talk about is the strategic drift. If you don't change, what would happen? Yeah. What would be the impact and what would be the effect of this strategic drift? If you look at the strategic drift, it's actually when you fail, when you fail to implement any strategies, or when you fail to understand what the market requirement is, when you fail to understand, or when you even fail to see how these improvements need to be implemented, which is being hindered by your cultural influence, okay, which has been hindered by your cultural influence, which has been because of your comfortability, because of your ignorance, that you don't move with the environmental change. Yeah. So when you don't do that, the strategies what you're implementing is not suitable for the market, especially the present market situation. Yeah. You could see these organizations, they are like struggling or they are no more. Okay. Toys R Us closed down. So there are so many, even Marks and Spencer failed. Yeah. Sainsbury being a good department, the supermarket chain in the UK failed to, on their expansion into Egypt, not understanding the cultural perspective, not understanding what is the requirement there. So these are few notes where the organization failed to understand what is required in the market. Yeah. So why this happens? Why this is happening and why this is taking place in the environment? Okay. If you take the time and the amount of change what is required, the first line, this dark blue line, which will give you what you call the environmental change. Okay, what is the environmental change that is required? Now, generally the organizations be with their changes of the environmental changes with the minute incremental change. You could see from that particular point onwards, okay, that's where the incremental change comes in. From that particular point onwards, the rate of change in the environmental aspect of it, the rate of change, the rate is increasing. Whereas you as the organization is not increasing to meet that change need. Yeah, I will talk to you through an example so that you will understand better. Now, say for example, the supermarket business in Sri Lanka started way back in 1980s. Okay, prior to this, two or three major competitors now, Cargill's, Keels and Arpico. Laugh is also coming up. Now you have certain, niche market stores like Glowmart and things like that. So they have their own clientele to work off with. Now, the pioneers were the corners. Okay, they were the people who started up with, right? They had only one store in Colombo, that was in Kolpiti. They moved from next to, I think, St. Thomas's Prep. There was a petrol shed near on that area. From there they moved to the Kolpiti Junction where the hotel is coming up now. So they had a store. They had one single store. Yeah. Whereas the cashiers, there were only two cashiers. Because simple fact was that there was no much people patronizing. So even they come, everybody knows each other, the people who are visiting the store. So only that will attract the vehicles or upper class people. So they would come, they would buy, they would have a chat while the ladies are, manually writing the bills down. They didn't have any, scanners or machines or POSs or whatever. And it was so good. So small changes when the crowd start coming in, they had to make sure that, the customers goes a little bit fast. So they moved from that manual system into a, the dot metrics system where they had the products were already fed in because they had not so many SKUs. So they can feed in about 100 SKUs or 120 SKUs into that machines. And it was operating fast. They never had credit cards machines, or it was totally operated on cash. So all these factors. Now that was the incremental change. Now, just imagine in present situation, in present context, you still try to manage that way. What would happen? Will the customers be happy? Yeah. Will the customers be happy? Oh, let's do, we will increase the number of cashiers with these dot matrix printers or whatever it is. Yeah, some laser, something. Will that solve the problem? No, it is not going to solve the problem. So that's why you could see if that organization would have been in existence with the limited incremental changes, you would not be able to survive, because you could see now you have various systems. Of course, the POS what we have is also little primitive, but then there is no big crowd except for seasonal crowd coming in to the supermarket. So maximum amount of time that you wait in the queue, maybe about 5 minutes, no more than that. So that's why people don't even bother, like, even there are two people that, they just, or three people, they just hang on. And, even you complain that, you are getting late. When you look at the clock, actually, it's not more than 7 minutes that you stay, okay, because of the concept, like what you have, unless otherwise, you get behind a really slow trainee teller, and in front of you, where the husband is holding the cart and wife and the kids are still picking things up and coming and dumping and going and coming and dumping and going back. So then it might take a little bit more time. Otherwise, general fact is about 7 minutes maximum. Yeah. So that you would reach. Now, saying that, now this is where it could happen. In future, if the demand is going to be high, okay, still in retail, the supermarkets are only about 15%. Okay. So if the supermarket concept changes on and it reaches about 70%, 60% of the market share, then do you think that the crowd what is going in could be controlled by the way of the systems what they have now? No, you could see that in the foreign markets, what they do. They have self-check-in counters, they have basket scannings. So they have so many of different methods and models that they have adapted already according to the change. Otherwise, the customers would move on to the other supermarkets. Okay, they lose out the customers and they have to finally close down, right? So that's about it, right? So that's the second stage where the strategic drift starts coming in, because you don't realize the market requirement, you don't realize the market situation. In our case of PIA, do you think that we have realized what the market situation is? Do you think that we have realized what the market requirement is? How the technology is changing? How the technologies have changed differently? You could see certain issues coming up with the commercial, what do you call the furnitures? Yeah, the different types, what is required in the market as a niche, it is attracted. Already there is conflict coming up when they suggest that there are enough opportunities to grow, product development into the same high quality with office partitions and things like that. So already you have certain issues coming up. Are you moving towards the market requirement? Are you moving towards the market elements, what you really want to do? Yeah. Probably even you would have started up with your audio visuals way back in 1998, where the demand was there. The demand was created by bringing in and following up a blue ocean strategy. But do you think that still it's available today? Because you don't have to project it anymore. Yeah, you can. Everybody could project it with your own laptops in their hands, and the use of laptops is so high now. So everything is available. So now this is where you need to see whether we are running at the same place. Yeah, that's called the flux stage. So is this the reason why you have been DCC have been hired to come and give their view? Yeah. So if you don't do anything on that nature, that you will be going off, either you will have to close down the businesses, or you have to even sell your businesses to your competitors, or then else you have to have a completely radical change and meet your environmental changes. So this is where you need to make a call, you need to make a decision. So that's why you need to analyze the organizations, where their weaknesses are, whether those weaknesses could be addressed, or if you just leave it, what would happen, and whether it could be bloated. So let's have a discussion when we go into that particular area. But I just want to link why I'm doing this to you all. Yeah. So quickly, why we are going with this small, the incremental changes, because we have been successful. We have been successful look at PIA. We have been successful in the past years. Yeah, we have been successful. Okay. So we try to experiment around our store capabilities, like, the manufacturing of our, we started off with domestic, and now we have moved on to, the commercial, and now we could even fabricate it according to the customer requirement. Very good. Yeah. So do we testing it out anything differently? That we have to answer. Why this drift start taking place? Because we don't want to move. You could see that there are certain rigidities in the organization that you have to question yourself to answer whether it is good, bad, or ugly, or it is really good. Just hang on to it. Yeah. As accountants, that we might want it in black and white. Yeah. But then the world is not black and white. It has so much of shades of gray. Okay. So then are we in line with the market situation? Yeah. Do we look forward? What has happened to the organization which have been doing extremely good in audio visuals currently? Not even heard of, because the equipments are so cheap now. The equipments could be written off, because 50, 60, 70, 80,000 rupees, you can write off the equipments within 3 years. Is 20,000 rupees a year, or 4 years, 20,000 rupees a year, because those equipments come with 4 years or 3 years warranty. Let's say 90,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees each for a year writing off. So monthly it's about 2,500 rupees. What do you think? So 2,500 rupees, if you break it down in a day, it's 80 rupees. Do you think it's a big issue like earlier days? I don't think so. Yeah. So now these are the aspect, whether we are looking forward. Yeah. Or do we like to stick with the familiar? So we'll stick with our motors, we stick with these what we are doing. When we want to not to do anything familiar, we are not very comfortable. We have been good in our, we have established a good name on the niche market for our furnitures. But when we talk about the change, what we need to do, this is where the money, cash flow is going to come in. So we are afraid to move. We try to stick with the familiar. Yeah. We are worried about our suppliers. We are worried about our partners whom we had earlier. Happening with PIA. Yeah. So, and also, they could not diagnose it by themselves. They could not understand. That's why they were bringing in somebody from outside as well. This is my view, guys. Okay, this is my view. So what I feel is that although the profitability is looking good, yeah, the numbers looks good, that they are drifting. They are drifting at the moment. Yeah, these are the signs. These are the elements which will come out. Okay, so once you drift, please read these areas. I've given you the explanation on that, what it goes on. So those slides will be available to you all. So please read that part. I'm not going to cover that. Then the third area, then what happens? Frequent change in strategy, lacks direction. Now, if your organizational performance is not good, then we might go back and forth. You know, generally, in general perspective, on marketing aspect of it, it's a push and a pull is the ideal way. Push, I just talked about the push and pull earlier. I didn't explain. The push is like you push it to the market first. You push it to the your own customers, like your agents. Yeah, push the product to them. Then you do a pull strategy. That is the customer to pull it out from your agents. Yeah, that's a general practice. But when things don't go well, you might do a pull and a push and a pull in different directions. It takes place. Yeah, there'll be people leaving. Yeah, there'll be people leaving. There might people leave. You could see how the organization is closely knitted, how the organization is tightly knitted in different perspectives, how the controls have been taking place, how the how Sumal is been becoming a very important person, even controlling the senior managers' remunerations. Healthy, not healthy, I'm not sure. Yeah, you need to decide how it works. But in general perspective, it is not healthy. It is not healthy at all, because Sumal is not, he's an accountant, fantastic, he's doing a brilliant job and he has done a very good job. Is he a good manager? Is he a good person's manager? Because it's when it comes to black and white, when you try to give the general perception or general perspective of the accountants is like to reduce cost. Yeah, reduce cost. That's so you don't want to give in the way of remuneration to the people who are performing in the right way, although they deserve it. So you might find certain instances to drop that remuneration out, which will make people not very happy. This is a general perception. Okay, that's why CS Sri Lanka does not want you all to become pure accountants. They want you all to become CEOs. CEOs thinks on every different aspect. That's why this case study is also on. If you see in this case study, 55, more than 55% is about the strategy. Your taxation and finance element is only about 25%, because you all have learned enough on finance. I'm not saying finance is important. Finance is important. That's for organizations to move forward, the controls to come in. Right. So whether it is there, so whether the people might get frustrated because of this particular situation. Yeah, they perform. It's visible. They're talking about it, isn't it? Its performance evaluation is not very. It is very strict. Yeah. Pressure from outside. You could see that there's pressure for costing. MD, CEO really, they get involved in costing, the cost savings. Yeah. Internal rivalries could happen. We are seeing that. They've already talked about, the MD and deputy MD, when they have differences, they have lengthy discussions, but they say it's resolved. So now probably the rivalries could start. Even the third generation people are already in as directors. Boardroom arguments, you could see. So that's why I'm saying, for me, I have although the figures looks good, although the organizational figures, the performance looks good, I feel that PIA is on a drift. Yeah. So finally, as I said, like it has to be either die, or you might have to take or you might have to divide it up. You might have to sell certain. You all know that, okay? You all know that in finance, you all learned it. Like, if the parts are much more better than the whole, so split it up. Good for the benefit, because they're talking about shareholder value addition. So whenever the shareholder value addition comes in, it might be better to split it up and manage separately. So then that could be added to the shareholder value. Yeah. So you could work on that as well. Yeah. Or it has to be reorganized, so forth. Yeah. So this is something very interesting that you might have to see. You can there is a site what I'm linking up. You could see what can be learned with the failure. Yeah. So read that articles. I'll be giving you all so much of articles to read. I'll be giving the sites. So as soon as this is uploaded onto the system, please visit and download those. Those are freely available, so not to worry. If any articles are not available to you all, just drop a note to Aruna. I will download it and send it across. I can download those articles because probably I have a different account or whatever it is. Yeah, so do that. Right. So there is certain elements of PIA culture. Okay, the 1.3 they are talking about, even 1.4. The last paragraph is about the PIA culture. So you could see how they are managing the organization. And 1.6 last paragraph also, although it's under marketing activities, you could see that several sales managers of the companies feel there should be more involvement by them in sales and marketing related decision. So that means the culture is probably a one-way traffic kind of thing. Yeah, widely held belief that real expertise lives with the KMPs. Yeah, so now these are the problems that you could see. Yeah, already started inside them. This my view I'm taking up from the case itself, guys. Okay, I'm not creating anything. Okay, so that's about your culture, right? So that's done now. That area is done. Now we have to finish these two areas. These two areas are quite small areas than the first one. First one is the biggest area. Okay, to go off with. So on your strategic choices, we'll try and work out the. I'm not going to talk about the innovation, but I'm going to talk about the corporate, business level, international, and the evaluation part as well, right? So let's quickly go through the choices what you have. If you have to see, as we saw last time, it involves understanding the underlying basis, how we are going to create future strategies to go off with. Yeah, both levels, business level as well as in the corporate level, right? And also direction and method of development, both what direction that we are going to take and also what method of development that you are going to adopt. Remember this slide? As I said, now you can see how we should compete, on what basis they should compete, what are the portfolio that you're going to have even in your organization, because I can see very clearly all three organizations as different portfolios. Yeah, your first one has 3 portfolios, second one has 2 portfolios, third one has 3 portfolios. So you have your portfolios within your organization to go off with. So whether these portfolios are correct, relevant, that's a challenge that you have to take up with. Then where should the organization compete internationally, whether you should go. The only thing is, like, if you want to look at the international competition, you have to work on, you have to see whether that you have saturated your local market. Okay. So that's very important. If you have saturated a local market, then you can go, whether your product, what you're developing, is highly acceptable in the next market that you're going to go off with. So for me, no, that area is very little yes. Yeah, maybe a no for me in that particular area currently, because there are so much of things that you can do it locally, and they're not talking about anything that, the market is saturated or whatever it is. So you never know what you're going to get, right? So that's why I want to just keep you posted that there is an option on that nature for you to think what you want to do. So if anything on that nature comes in your unseen, then you will know that you are prepared for that as well. Is the organization innovating appropriately? That's a question that you need to ask, whether you're innovating, and should the organization buy other companies or be a lie or go it alone? So how do you want to grow? Okay, so that's a question that we need to ask, right? So your options you would have, on what basis you're going to compete. Yeah. So are you going to go on the price based or differentiation based? So we will touch upon a few models there. Then what is the direction that you're going to take, and what is the method of pursuing? How do you want to grow? Okay. So these are the three areas that we'll be covering upon, right? So on the business level, it's in between your corporate and the operational level. Okay. So this is generally called a competitive strategy. The organizations at present compete, if you say whatever the ways, you can categorize them into two major areas. One through price, the other one through differentiation. Yeah, that's what they do off it. Those are the two ways that they would think of competing with each other. Yeah. So PIA competes on quality, so probably they're differentiating themselves. Yeah. So that's why probably you could see even their furnitures, they are differentiating themselves. Yeah, they're differentiating themselves to go off it. So now these are things that you need to think of, or you need to align with these models when you go on. You should know to apply them. Yeah. So the Porter's generic strategy. Yeah, he talked about whether you're going to differentiate to the whole industry, or whether you want to go on a cost leadership to the whole industry, or whether you want to go and differentiate to your one particular segment, whether you want to differentiate your cost into one particular segment. So within that four areas, your SBUs have different approaches to go. Yeah, your SBUs having different approaches to go. Probably your the hydro organization, okay, they are working on industry-wide differentiation. They're working on industry-wide differentiation, but because at anywhere it doesn't show that they are concerned about the cost. Okay, they are concerned about the cost, but it doesn't show that, because when people know about the quality, people know what that organization could give you, and especially when these products have been they are like an investment that you make, and it's a long-term household good that you are buying. So you would go for the quality product even 5,000-10,000 rupees difference, it's not going to matter much. Yeah. So probably these people are going on a differentiation. If you see the case where the furniture business, it's focusing on one particular group. Okay. So they are looking at high-end, high quality conscious people who could wait for long. So you're looking at a niche market area. Okay. You're looking at a niche market area where you're delivering. The third one, your audiovisual, does not very specifically say, because I believe they are still living in the past. Yeah, this is my view. Okay, they are still living in the past. They still believe there's a blue ocean still available. Okay, and changing from that has to happen. Yeah, how it works, how the situation would move forward. So it has to happen on little bit differently. You could see that extract what is coming out from the 2020 to 2021 figures from the Premium Audiovisual Limited on the management accounts. You could see how is your the investments that has been taken from the PIA. Yeah, it's 8. Yeah, so they are not and your going back onto your profits, you could see that has increased. So a little bit of confused elements getting into this particular picture. So probably they are also meeting the demand, meeting that perspective, but they're not talking a bigger element there. Okay, so there is opportunities to go off with. Okay, they're talking about opportunities in the growth in business were numerous, ranging from multimedias to major institutional conference systems installations such as BMICH. So they have got the parliament. So they have got now the next step is what? So okay, you've got these major projects. Now these projects are going to be there for a long period of time. So is it the maintenance part? Is it where you're going to get the revenue coming in from, right? So now these are the questions which you might have to ask. So where are they now? What do they want to do? So looking at their businesses, how they have moved about, they also could be pushed into the differentiation strategy. Yeah. So now, and where they are investing, also not on a mass market, they are investing on the industrial market. That's how they've been looked upon. Yeah. So whether it's a high-end differentiated product that you're selling, or whether it's another mode that you're working through with. Yeah. Right. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. The next question that you have to look at, the way the competitiveness could be created is by your Bauman's clock model. Okay. Low price value addition, the low price hybrid. Now this is where it differs from the Porter's generic model. Differentiation, focus differentiation, and this 6, 7, 8 is destined to fail. Okay. So now I try to explain to you all what is happening with PIA in Porter's generic model. Similarly, you all could decide where they could stand here. Yeah. Why I took some time to explain there is because it was quite relevant to link. Yeah. Here the information what is given is not enough for us to decide whether we could plot into different areas according to the Porter, this model. No frill strategy is very simple. We are not adding any additionals. We are not, this is especially for the price sensitive market, probably the commodity markets, for the customers who are very price sensitive, who would have a big power to switch onto the product very fast. Yeah, so they're not, then because of, if you adopt these strategies, you might not attract any major competitors, because they might not come in, because the margins are going to be very low on this particular market. Okay. So once again, so then looking at that explanation, I doubt PIAs, any one of the three is going to be there. Low price, sure, low prices also not, because they don't want to have any margin reduction. That is their core element, core value. They want to have profits. The organization driven by profits, so they don't want to be low priced as well. Okay, so very, very clear. Inability to invest, no, they are not, because they even the directors' private accounts has been can be they could invest, so they are capable of investing in the business. They don't want to create any price war, so they are out of the business, so that is not going to work through as well. Okay, now I'm just giving you an example on the local scenario for you to understand what this low price could do. Okay, we have two major telecom giants, or three people who are competing vigorously, and you could see that when they want to drop the price down, they drop the price down very badly. We benefit as customers, but then there is no benefit to the industry coming in. Yeah, they lack money to reinvest in new technologies coming in. Sri Lanka was the hub for any new technology investments, and also we were the first people to go with 4G even in the region. Okay, today there are other companies which are other countries which are gone on 5G, and we are still investing, and the people, even the competitors are now talking, or they have come into an agreement that they will go as a joint venture in upgrading the system into 5G. Okay, and leaving everything apart, there are other myths that the injections and the 5G as a connection, and they are trying to control our mind with the injections or whatever it is. I don't know whether there is any evidence based on that. That's on a different note, right? Okay, so then the dangers would come in. If PIA decides to go on a low price, then they might attract a price war, because we could see there is no one clear cut main competition. Even in the market, there are top people operate only about 11.4% of the market share. Okay, this is a bit of a old data, but then still that I believe that data valid, because the number of organizations that you see in the market of hydro, where they are the motors, that that is visible. Okay, so you can't create a hype and drop the price down, and the moment you drop the price down, everybody might start drop the price down, and nobody's going to benefit out of it, right? So because everybody has a very small market share in that mind, right? And also when the moment you drop the price down, like you are being regarded as a high quality, high end product, and now suddenly you drop your price down, people might think that you're no more a high quality, high end price person. Now you are a low value person. Yeah, it's a consumer psychology. Okay, you go to a supermarket, and when you say buy one get one free, you take that product and turn it to see when it is expiring. So you link the price with the quality. Obviously, that's consumer psychology. You can't avoid it. That's proven. Okay, so the moment you drop the price down, these are the consequences that you might face. And once you do that, it's very difficult for you to get back and differentiate your product from others. Okay, so those are the reverse aspect of it. I'm skipping the hybrid. I'll come back to the hybrid, but let me go to the differentiation part of it. Differentiation, it's fundamentally, you're trying to differentiate your products on a mass scale from your competitors. Okay, I strongly believe this is what PIA is doing. Okay, this is what the PIA is known for. Yeah, high quality product. Their pricing also high. So you could see the price increase is taking place, and they are worried about the price increase as well, and so forth, because they know that market is sensitive on pricing, but then the quality need to be maintained. So all these factors are going up on that particular perspective, right? But this differentiation, you have to always consider two things. Number one, you need to identify what is your strategic customers need. We learned about strategic customers last time. We said the strategic customers are the people who could make a huge difference in your sales, who could make a huge difference in your products, okay, who could have an impact in your strategy. So identify what the customer requirement is. Identify what your strategic customer want, not everyone. One, okay. Two, what is the key competitors are doing? What are they doing? Are they also giving similar differentiation, or they're not giving any? Because this is where you need to keep something under your sleeves. Okay, when time to come, then you can reveal it, right? That's very important. So understand when you're differentiating yourself, understand these two elements. Yeah, you need to understand about your key strategic competitors and also your customers who are working on it, right? Who is in a strategic group? There are so many people from Jinasena to, there are so many names that you can pick it up in the local market. So many names, international, local manufacturers. There are people who bring down the motor pumps as a motor pump. But there are people who bring down the spares and assemble here. There are people who create and assemble here. There are people who bring down the engines to assemble here. So there are different market segments of people in this particular category as well. Furniture, I don't have to explain. There are two major competitors, fixed product competitors to go off with. Like, if when you're thinking of big names, or maybe three big names, yeah. The biggest, I believe, in the names on that particular perspective would be Damro, right? And you have so many other, like, you have Singer, you have Apico coming in. There are so many other, these are bigger companies, because the furniture business, there is organized category and there is unorganized category. Yeah. And mostly it is unorganized. Okay. The organized category is smaller, but it has increased up to 40% now, right? So you could see, because the unorganized category is also looking into the perspective of getting into the organized category concern, right? So identify who was who are the people who are in that particular niche segment. Very few maybe, okay, very few maybe. There are few concept stores in Colombo, like Rauch's Brothers, some concept stores to go off with, very few. Okay, so identify whether you're falling into that particular category. Okay, whether people would be looking into that niche market area, yeah, who wait for exclusive products to go off with, right? Not general products, right? So then you don't fall into the category of Damro, or you don't fall into the category of, they are in that industry, but then you're not within that particular strategic group. You're on a different strategic group. So think on that nature as well. Okay, hybrid is quite interesting. You could see it's a combination between the price and the differentiation. So here we are trying to give both simultaneously. Okay, we are going to give both simultaneously the pricing and the low price with high quality. Yeah. So now this is where we want to make off it, and there is evidence in your case that they want to do that as well. Okay, they want to be in that particular perspective, giving that requirement where people can afford it, people can buy that high-end product. So probably hybrid might be the way forward to go. I will tell you where that area is. So this is possible, or this is advantageous when you're entering a market. Okay, when you're entering a market, this is good, right? So, and also where you can achieve greater volumes. If you're looking at the reducing the cost and giving that high quality? Where do you want to put yourself in? Where do you want to market yourself in? So you need to think on that nature as well. Now, this, when you want to achieve on a hybrid mode, your competitive strategy is going to be in a hybrid strategy. You need to work out your cost reduction should be outside your comfortable, outside your quality zone. Don't touch your product. Not to touch a product, okay? Not to touch a product to reduce the quality of the product. Yeah, you could see there are so many process point in the in furniture, okay? So from kiln to finishing, there's so much of area. When you see, you're not going to touch the product quality, but you could reduce your quality in other perspective, like what IKEA does. Okay, like what IKEA does. IKEA do it on a total different perspective. They manufacture in big numbers. They have packed. They have flat packs. It will save store space. It will save transport cost. It will save the people, the end, assembly point. Yeah, customers take it home, so your labor is reduced over there. Customer fix it, your labor is reduced over there. Customer transport it, your final transport cost is reduced. You can store so many, tables and chairs on a flat pack rather than on a complete, fully restored, piece. It's obvious, isn't it? So you can't stack it. So here you can stack it without any problem in a flat pack. So they save cost in that particular area. Yeah, so that's why they were able to do that, right? This could treat as a entry strategy, but then sometimes it might be confused with the dumping as well. Yeah, these are the two organizations that I'm talking about, that they do things outside that quality area. Okay, outside the quality area, they don't touch their products. Tesco, on the other hand, makes deals with the suppliers when they know the suppliers, their products are good, because these are private label suppliers. Okay, private labels are the people who does not have a label. So Tesco puts their label in, right? And Tesco, what they do is they would encourage them to produce in mass, because they have 13,000 stores, worldwide, so that they could send it to the 13,000 stores without any problem. Rather than producing 5,000, 10,000 units, they can produce 100,000 units or 200,000 units to go off with. So when they do the 200,000 units to go with, just a moment, guys. Sorry, guys. Okay. So what I was saying is, like, Tesco would encourage the suppliers to manufacture in bulk, yeah, more numbers, rather than producing 5,000, 10,000, 100,000, 200,000. So the economic scales would allow them to reduce the cost dramatically. Yeah. So the operational cost without touching the quality of the product, right? So they're not touching the quality. They are reducing cost outside that quality area. That is what it means. Yeah. So if you're looking for PIA to work on these areas, you need to identify where they could reduce the cost. They've talked about, we will discuss that in little bit detail when I go onto the process area with PIA case. Yeah, so we'll have a discussion on that. Focus differentiation, obviously. Okay, so focus differentiation is like, very high price, high end product, niche market. If your the furnitures are going to be in this particular level, you should be able to justify your volumes. You should be able to justify your pricing. One model for the entire country or something on that nature to go off with. Yeah. So this is what you call on the marketing. This is what you call the holy grail. Okay. For example, products Bugatti Veyron is only about $1.9 million. There are people who can afford that even in Sri Lanka, but that was the cheapest one. Okay. But because Bugatti La Voce Noe is about 12 million, right? That's the 2021 price anyway. And you could see these names, what it appears now, Bruegel to Hublot Big Bang, from 30 million to $5 million, okay, not rupees. What are these? Probably you will know from the name like Patek Philippe and, Jacob and Co. And this is 55 million, completely, they are watches, okay? They are wristwatches. So there are people who could afford this. This is what you call the real, focus differentiation, because there are very few products, few things that could be managed and, at this particular level to go off with, right? Yeah, this is also very interesting. Gurkha's Majesty's Reserve, the cigar is about $1,000 each cigar. Okay, you can check it in the. It depends on the. It ranges from 750 to 1,005. It's about 1,000 fetching now, because there was some stocks released, because this does not come out always. So these are cigars. Okay, so you're looking at least about $1,500 is like, is 300,000 Sri Lankan rupees. Okay, if it is 200, official 200, it's 300,000. Otherwise, it's about 240. You're looking about 360,000 rupees. Okay, God bless them. Right. Okay. So now these are the. So are we going to get into that particular markets? You need to have that, checked it out. Right. Few issues when you go there. Because sometimes, people might not. Now, this is where I think the confusion is with the furniture, whether to go on to the office partitions. Yeah, whether to go on to the office partitions, whether it will dilute it off. Yeah, whether it will dilute it, because it's going to be manufactured in a bigger scale. So you could always, think of promoting on a different perspective. Yeah. But once again, that need to be properly analyzed and discussed, right? Very few limit to growth, okay, in that particular area. Obviously, you could feel that now, right? The furniture would feel that particular instant, where there is only very limited amount of time for them to, there's only very small area that they could increase. So you could see that, on their P&L, that they're pretty constant in their price. The what do you call the profits are quite constant, 53, 54. So you could see that probably they have reached that saturity level. Although the net sales have increased about 15%, but then still, it's not pretty interesting to see how they could, they're not able to manage to have better profits. Yeah. So now these are the things that you need to take into consideration when you consider anything, right? Route 678, as I said, strategies destined to fail. See, it's high price, no differentiation, nobody will buy. High price, worst product, nobody will buy. Same product, same price, worst product, still nobody will buy. Yeah, so that's how it works. I purposely took this particular slide because when I was researching on the the competitive market, I realized that there is a way of organizations choose to collaborate with others. Okay. So collaboration could give you, now say for example, you could see where there was a huge competition between the airlines. Okay. Airlines, when they had these competition issues, still they went on certain strategic alliances. Yeah. Strategic alliances, they went on to create strategic alliances. Yeah. Like One World. Yeah. There are so many other groups that has been created. So now when you look at them, when you look at them, they actually share their costings to a great extent, saving money, saving money, in the operations. Alliances like One World, Star Alliances, Sky Teams. So they have organizations working on different levels, where they are looking at where they're looking at improving their profitability by collaborating with their competitors as well. Okay, so this competition, number one, would give you increased selling power. Yeah, where you could go into destinations where you have never been. That's number one. And number two, you will see you get onto the your buying power also could increase. Let me give you an example how this could work. Is like Qantas and British Airways, they are the only direct flights operating between Melbourne and London. Okay, they are the direct flights operating. So all the other flights which goes via either Singapore stopover or Hong Kong stopover, in via Jakarta or via Thailand, or there are stopovers involved. But these two are the flights which operate directly, and they used to operate 4 flights a day. Yeah, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. 2 flights, 1 flight now, 2 flights each. Qantas and British Airways. So then they used to go about 40 to 50% or 50 to 60% full, and only during the peak season that their flights become full. Okay, not otherwise. So what they did was they came into an agreement and they said, okay, look, why should you operate 2 flights in the morning? So we'll operate 1 flight joint. Today you operate, tomorrow I will operate. Night, same thing. Today I will operate, tomorrow you operate. So the flight which goes can come back. So you, even from London, it will do the same thing. So that benefited them because they were able to now completely load the aircraft. Yeah, 380 would carry 550 passengers. Would able to load the aircraft, and that gave them the economies of scale, because the costing of the flight was shared. Yeah, the cost of the flight was shared. They were given 50% each to sell. So in case, and it was open 2 days prior to the flight, the seats has to be opened. So anybody can sell anything more. So they were not undercutting each other because they were the only people who were selling, right? So you hold a British Airways document, but then you might fly on Qantas. You hold a Qantas document, you might fly on British Airways, vice versa, right? So then on the buying element, look at the meals, okay? Earlier, they used to buy a flight, let's say 250 meals. Now they buy 550 meals. So the moment you say 550 meals, you're looking at the economies of scale, you're looking at the costing part of it, you're looking at how things are going to work, okay? And then you see what is relevant, and whether the food you can negotiate for a, if you reduce $1, you carry about 20 million passengers a year. So immediately you get 20 million saving, which can be split between two companies, 10 million each. So now this is something, the competition, yes, but then collaboration could help as well. Okay. So increased barriers. You are not allowing now others to come in. You are the only two carriers who could operate directly. You're reducing the risk of substitution when you collaborate. Classic example is from London Heathrow to Amsterdam or to Paris. When airlines started accepting each other's document, there are almost every 5 minutes there's a flight kind of thing. Okay, short haul flights. Earlier, if you missed one flight, you had to wait for the second flight, which will operate after 15 minutes. But only thing is, like, the morning rush hours would be very tough. Okay, so what the people do is, like, either they take the the train, channel train, or whether they go to Calais and take the ferry to across. So without wasting the time, without wasting 2-3 hours, couple of hours at the airport. Now even going to the airport, be at the airport, 1 hour prior, all these things could be covered if you take by channel tunnel, which takes about 3 hours directly to Charles de Gaulle. Okay, so to the center itself, right, rather than traveling again from the airport to the center, that will take another hour. So these are the people would avoid taking those substitutions, because when they see that they have options to go. So when you collaborate, so airlines started accepting each other's document, respecting the others' documents, and then that is also reduced to a great extent. New markets, as I said, you can go into new markets where you are not operating. Now, Sri Lankan Airlines, being a member of One World Alliance, they travel up to London, but they don't go to New York. But British Airways flies from London to New York, so they can easily sell a fare to New York. And especially these days, USA is quite close to us, so then we might have to increase our flights also to New York, so that people can enjoy maybe with one stop to New York flight or whatever it is from Colombo itself. You can share your work with customers. For example, now you could see they don't send you any tickets. Okay, the tickets earlier costed about $1 to $3. Now you don't have to even print any tickets. It's self-carbonized document. If it gets lost, then there's another problem. A lot of things. Now it is no more. Now it is not a bigger problem at all to go off with. Okay, if you want a ticket, you have to print it and take it. Otherwise, you can show it in your mobile. Accepted, no problems at all. That's a level. Yeah. So self check-in counters, yeah, baggage checking, baggage drops, all those things. You're getting your customers to do your work now, right? And also, which will lead to meet the stakeholders' expectations. Not only the shareholders, even the stakeholders will be happy, because you can reduce the price. You can have better, the quality of the service could be maintained at a lower price, and that could result in more profitability, and that could result in every stakeholder being happy about it. Yeah. Right. So we just completed the first one, that is the basis for the competitive strategies. And now we are getting into the strategic direction through your corporate level. Yeah, so let's look at that. Ways to grow on the corporate level. Yeah, you can grow either by organic development, that is through your own profits, through your own investment, which is currently happening with PIA group, okay, which is currently happening with PIA group. PIA group has not merged with anyone, neither they have acquired anyone, okay. They are not either merged or they are not acquired. So their growth up to this particular point, you can see it has been organic growth. They have grown by themselves. They have invested by themselves. Okay. So you could acquire or you could merge with somebody, right? Maybe a competitor who is going out of business today. Yeah. So you could select, if that partner is good, then you can acquire them. And because his market share also becomes your market share, right? And especially on a fragmented market, like the markets what you're operating currently, it might be ideal situation to grab more market share, even because even 1, 2, 3% of the market share would be vital when you have a market fragmented, when you have so many players operating in the market. Now, say for example, you have 10%, okay, and your immediate competitor has, your market leader has 13%, because the fragmented market, that's how it will work if you're on top element. Yeah. And if you see a person who is with 4% of the market who is leaving the market now, if you purchase him, if you acquire him, you become the market leader, because then you will have 14% of the market share. Okay. So especially on a fragmented market, you need to be aware that if you want to lead the market, that if you get the right partner to acquire, go for the acquisition. Okay. So now this is another way that, you could grow, the way that you can develop yourself to grow. The third one, you can become a strategic alliance. We could already see that PIA, as they have strategically, they have aligned with Danish companies. Okay, they are strategically aligned. Their technology, their product, their brand, they are already strategically aligned. Of course, it must be on a agreement, maybe franchising or licensing, whatever the agreement. They have joined. Okay, so they are there, right? So this is another way, like what we said earlier, the collaboration part. Okay, so you can do a strategic alliance when we see people, their requirements are changing. You remember what I said, where they are looking at the electro pumps, hydro pumps, not only to just be as a pump, but also to do certain other things. So then there are people who could, link that pump with other projects, yeah, other elements. Maybe a water fountain at home, maybe the gardening water, maybe the convenience part. So if you could align with somebody who could provide that services and give them, because you see that already they are doing it, because they with certain agents are supposed to have their own repair people, yeah, maintenance people. So like that, you can have a strategic alliance with this type of service provider. I'm just giving you as a an idea. I'm not saying that you must do. What I talk here is all about possibilities. Okay, there is nothing must. So these are the ways that you can grow, you can become big. So PIA has to decide. Yeah, they can make a decision. Are they going to still stick on to growing organically, or whether they want to go on a mergers and acquisition, or whether they want to strategically align. Now, if you ask me which way is better, it all depends. If you don't want to take any risk, much risk, if you want to spread your investment over time, if you don't want your culture to be challenged much, if you don't want to disrupt your normal operations very much, then ideal situation, and if you're not in a big hurry, ideal situation is to go organic development, like what PIS does. Yeah, they've done so far is that. If you see their values, they have different sets of values, and they would operate on that particular perspective. The next element, mergers and acquisition, would give you, as I said, a quick growth, a quick portfolio. You could acquire somebody when you don't have certain elements in your portfolio. Yeah, when you don't have, because we could see there's only 1 inch diameter pumps being produced. What happens if you start producing the smaller ones? Yeah, small versions, right? So which might be helpful for different other businesses, right? So whether there's a market for that, whether there's a requirement for that. Okay, so if there's a company which is producing the smaller versions, and if they are going out of business, is it worth to operate by them? Yeah, so that your market presence is going to be strengthened. Like you could give them the whole range of products to go off with. So think about it. Yeah, and of course the mergers and acquisition will bite you in your cash, because you might have to buy them. You have to pay their shareholders to buy the organization. Or even you might have to, when you buy them, you might have to adapt into their systems, or they might have to adapt into your systems, which you might have to see whether they're compatible. If it is not compatible, that's why most of the mergers and acquisition fail. They are not compatible. Yeah. So you have to find the right partner. You have to find the right partner. Okay. Now, give you the practical understanding of life understanding. Okay. The organic development is like somebody who wants to work, who wants to save, who wants to build a house, who wants to buy a vehicle, then get married. Yeah. Own growth. Merge or acquire. Merge is a good thing. Like, you can, your parents are willing to, get you all married, so that no problems, no issues. So probably, you also have a certain amount. The person whom you're getting married is having a certain amount. So now it becomes both amount. So both become bigger. Yeah. I don't know whether, ladies like to share their purse, or neither the men like to share their purse. That's a different story. But then that's how it could be understood. Okay. Acquisition is like, you can elope with someone, even without the permission of their, parents or guardians, knowing the fact that, that they have enough properties, or, the cash rich, right? So that is also possible, right? Acquisition is also that. You might acquire somebody even without the will of the shareholders. Okay, you can acquire, you can pay them, and you can finish them off. You can get into the management, and then, you can completely send off the management team, and you can have your own management team. Right. Strategic alliances, which is currently, which is very popular in Sri Lankan, society also. It's becoming very, very catchy. It's living together. Yeah. So your money, my money, you pay